Hey there, welcome to Storytime with Ellie podcast. And we are here today with a beautiful lady who is dealing with a high conflict divorce. Let's welcome Sheena Passante. Welcome, Sheena. Come on in.
Oh, good afternoon, Ellie. How
How are
are you?
you? How you doing?
I- I'm doing great. How are you doing
I
today?
am doing fantastic. I'm in sunny Florida. It's hot. I don't know what we are today, probably 94, 95. That's what it was when I looked at it a couple hours ago. How about you?
I am sitting here in beautiful Missoula, Montana, where I
Oh,
don't
it
know
is
the
beautiful.
temperature yet, but the summers are the best here in Montana. So
So it's probably similar to New York summers, right? Like their
I would,
summers get to like maybe, well, they have 90 now, 93, but it's kind of like a little, because I am from New York, if you haven't noticed. I live in Florida now.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, great, Ellie.
Okay, let's roll. Let's roll. Let's talk about this divorce that you've been dealing with and
You
your
know,
children
so
and
Oh my
yeah.
goodness, Ellie, and what a ride this has been.
Mm.
I first filed for divorce 3 years ago, and the my ex-husband is an attorney here in the state of Montana, and there's been a lot happening and going on with the dissolution. It's very high conflict. There are two little sweet little precious babies involved that are
Yeah.
8 and 10 years old, and I first started when they
Wow.
were 5 and 7. And so,
Wow.
yeah, and so there's been a lot of alienation and restricted time regarding my custody and visitation. And so it's been highly emotionally draining and difficult, right? There's been some would say, and I have visited with a lot of professionals outside of the state of Montana. They have told me that my divorce is the most abusive divorce they've ever read in the whole country.
Wow. This is a
And it's a big
that's
deal.
not something once, yeah.
No, absolutely not. So he has filed 240 motions where the current, judicial system here just signs off on these motions, and then obviously, I my side has to respond. But I I lost the case before I filed for divorce because of some of the networking that goes on within this incredibly liberal community, right?
Okay. Yes. Okay. So you lost the case. Which you mean you were it was
Well, so
dismissed
I
or
well no, so I lost before I even filed for divorce. I
Mhm.
already lost. You know what I mean? So it
Oh, I
wasn't.
see. Yeah.
So I feel like I really didn't have an opportunity to properly defend myself, my character. I mean, you name it, it happened to me within the court system, including but not limited to. He had me charged with I had an order of protection, which I did violate via text message. He tried to upcharge me to two felonies, which were later reduced. So he had me completely uh, caught in a system that he had all the expertise, knowledge, and training. I mean, he went to college for, 9 years, right?
Exactly. So he just so I kind of get just a little straight. So you had two children. You said alienation. Would they that's many years. How many years has that been?
So it's been 3 years now.
Three.
Intermittently, I've had contact with them, and
Okay.
he put me through all the processes, such as supervised visitation. Now, Ellie, I am an entrepreneur. I started my own in-home caregiving agency, and then Medicare hospice, and bought more. Right. The
Mm-hmm.
goal, the goal throughout this whole process is to completely destroy me. Right.
Mm.
And so, and so I have played all the little court games that you can possibly play. And also, everything has been brought forward from, me struggling with mental health. And, I did struggle with some self-medication and alcohol. Obviously, that was my choice to self-medicate my emotional trauma that I was going through, which I have not had a drink, thank goodness, in a couple of years.
Right.
But, that was brought into the court case. So then I was dangerous, and I had a,
Well,
drinking problem. And
there's a certain amount of this is not, I mean, you don't want to know this, but unfortunately, there's a certain amount of normalcy to them doing this to you. So
yeah.
even if you're innocent, I don't know you, and I've read a little bit about you, and I see what you've gone through, and that's why I'm asking you to come on the podcast,
Sure.
because what you're going through is not, this happens, and
Mhm.
we need a voice, right? We need Sheena.
Absolutely.
We need Sheena to be the voice, because there's a lot of you out there that go through
Well,
this.
I can't imagine, first and foremost, it's especially when you have children in a divorce. I mean, they are the priority, so
Mhm.
they emotionally are salvaged through these processes. However, there's a lot of parents that would have to walk away,
And that
not
was a
just
young age. Yeah, but those kids were
exactly, and
young.
not only that, from the financial standpoint, I have spent $1 million on this case.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, yeah. So,
This
and
is
I
unreal. And if you didn't have the source, they would lose their children to a
it no,
to a situation
I know,
that is very,
I know.
I'm sorry to say, maybe I'm not, is corrupt. It seems corrupt.
Absolutely. It's all corruption. And that's the other thing too, where I mean, I can correct all of my, quote unquote mental health issues and addiction issues. I still my parenting. So I actually settled the divorce in November. I gave him everything, right? And I settled for an every other weekend parenting agreement with also doing 3 breathalyzers a day when I had my children, so I didn't have to utilize supervision, right? And these are terms that he came up with. We didn't have psychologists or anybody involved. This is something that he came up with, right? So the kids were like, "Mom, we're tired of the law." And I said, "Okay, you know what? We need to spend Christmas together. It's been almost 3 years. So I'm gonna give I didn't talk to them about this, but I gave them everything. Gave them, primary parenting, took every other weekend. The kids and I spent some good quality time together for Christmas. And then 2 months later, after we had a few weekends together, he illegally revoked my parenting weekends. So now I have not seen my children since the end of February, right? So that is
Terrible.
part of what the standing master did within the court system too. And she's a junior judge. She doesn't even have the ability. She didn't even schedule the hearing. They're not even following the protocol for their own systems. So so I almost had to take it up to the Montana Supreme Court in order to get my parenting weekends put back in place.
Terrible, terrible. And it's one thing if, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, it's one thing if, you're doing things that are harming your children. Because
Sure,
then you would understand, well,
I would.
right, you're gonna say, well, you might not, this can harm the child, but how do you take the mother's rights from their children?
You
What are
can't, and
you doing to your children?
this is my
Don't,
constitutional right to be a parent. I am
yeah.
not an addict, and I can safely parent my children. So what
Mm,
is the problem here? This is not only that, this system, we talk about systematic issues, these systems are abusive, and I'm not the first person. This is
no.
why is it allowable? Why is it allowable? As a hospice provider, we have criteria that people have to meet in order to participate in our services, right?
Yes.
Why are these systems, they're government systems, why do they not have the same guidelines? Why don't we have guidelines with these practices, these dissolutions, these divorces? Why do divorces have to be tragic, right?
Do you think, maybe too late now, because I mean, I think you're still in this fight, but like, could they move? Should have had been moved from the hometown of where your husband's from? Because I'm sure everyone has friends and places that, I'm just saying, I mean, I don't know, I mean,
Well, so the critical factor of this whole concept of this crazy divorce that you can't even create in Hollywood. They're doing a movie because it's that crazy. You
mm,
can't even create
so,
this. So we moved over to the community that he went to law school
mhm,
in. He moved back to my hometown in December. Right?
yeah,
So I have been isolated over here, not knowing anybody, and I bought companies over here. That's how me and my family ended up over here, right? So it's
mhm,
not, that's why I'm like, I would prefer to go back to my hometown, to move this back to my hometown where I have the support and people know who I am.
yes, yeah.
The judges know who I am. This would never happen in my hometown. It is this community. And
Well,
I'm
that's
not
what
the
I'm
first
saying,
one.
it should have not have been, if it's this high conflict, sounds like it is. I mean, I don't understand how a mom could lose their children. And you're not
Oh yeah.
talking a couple of weeks, or you're talking years. You basically lost a lot of years with these kids. This is
Absolutely.
something a
It's
mother
it's
could, like, we totally, oh my God, I cannot imagine.
It's heartbreaking. It's hard to compartmentalize. It's hard to quantify the grief and the emotional distress. It's been hard. The only thing, thanks, to God and my faith in my spirituality that I practice on the daily, that I've been able to, hold pretty steady, because I have no control over what is happening. However, legal abuse is the most criminal form of emotional abuse that you can possibly endure.
Yeah, yes, and I'm just gonna jump in here for a second. If you don't mind, if there's something that you don't want to discuss, it's fine as well. I'm just gonna ask little questions and don't feel obligated.
No,
Yeah, okay.
yeah, that's fine, Ellie.
Did you want to go back from the beginning, how it started? Did you want to take it back a little, or how you got into
You
this
know,
and how he pulled the children from you and
you
any
know,
steps, or is it just too much?
well, we definitely can go back to the beginning. I mean, from the beginning, this relationship was toxic, right?
Mhm. All right, well then,
And so it's hard to pinpoint exactly. I was the
yeah.
primary parent and breadwinner, put him through law school,
Oh, see, here
so
we go.
yeah, so
Mhm.
and so the other thing is there's a lot of similarities related to my case and the Betty Broderick case, which she actually murdered her ex-husband, who was an attorney, who abused her in the court system. Yeah, and
Mhm.
not that, I mean, not, but I know that he
Yeah,
did.
yeah, I got you. You're just making the comparison. I get it. Yeah.
Well, there was a case study in law school too. So I mean, then, because there was a lot of similarities, such as making false reports with police, or calling them, and there were a couple of times where my behaviors were not great, right? And it wasn't any way violent, but I was self-medicating with alcohol. So clearly, the police asked me, like, Sheena, have you been drinking this evening? And I responded, yes. However, I wasn't doing anything criminal, but what he was trying to do is make everything that I did criminal, right?
Mhm.
That's the whole basis of this whole process too. So abuse of power is scary. A lot of women who are married to people that have powerful positions, I mean, they are scared because
Mhm.
these
My
types of
dogs
things
are
can
barking.
happen.
Yes. Yeah. So, so basically, he used his his connections, his control
Well,
to
yeah, and
navigate this divorce.
he always had divorce papers on his computer drawn up to use those as leverage to manipulate me.
I mean, so he
So there
basically he used the
so there
marriage to get his degree, your
Yeah.
money.
Oh, absolutely. And I was the moneymaker. That's the other
Yeah.
thing too. I took $1,000 and created multi-million-dollar hospice organizations,
Oh my
right?
God, good for you. That's another
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah. No,
I mean, we
I
can
mean,
edit it. We can edit into this.
no,
No,
I mean,
you need
that's what I
get
did.
that
I
credit.
probably should. I'm an entrepreneur and I am a
Yeah, this is
spokesperson for
beautiful.
the
This is
other
all
thing
about
is
me. I
too
love this
is
stuff. Not about me, but you.
I'm a humanitarian. I
Yeah.
advocate for people, for patients, for human beings. Do you know that I called when this first started? I knew I was totally screwed. Can I say that?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So I knew that I started calling everybody that I knew that had any type of pull in the state of Montana that could help me. And this was right after I filed for divorce, because I knew what he was doing.
Mm.
And nobody could help me. I went through, I don't know, 6 attorneys, because he was, not only that, he was representing himself at pro se, but then he hired his law school teacher to represent him, and he was filing the motions under her licensure, right? So we were getting briefs that were exceeding the page requirements for like 42 pages, and yet then you have to quash those, you know what I mean? There's all sorts of things. And I knew it was him. I'm like, somebody needs to stop him. He practiced every form of law that he learned in law school against me in my divorce.
Oh my goodness. Terrible. And
Oh, it was
and you put him
terrible.
in and you put him through law school.
Of course I did.
You
Of
created
course.
that monster. No, I'm
I sure
joking.
did. No, it was like I put you
Oh,
through
I
law
should have
school.
said that.
I paid for you to get that license, and now you're traumatizing me with it and abusing me with it. So
Mhm.
that's the other thing. And like I said, I have enough understanding of the system too. Once you're caught in the system, you're in trouble, because it is a system and it's systematic processes, and that's why people struggle with divorce in general, because it is so abusive. That's just
Yes.
how
Oh
it is.
yeah.
Because they're
Horrible.
bringing things into court that don't even matter, that have nothing to do with anything. You know what I mean? He used something like, he said, well, I'm gonna I he said, because, you were a child of abuse, I'm going to bring that in, that you're going to abuse our children. Like
Oh yeah,
that, like
they
the
terrible.
psychological side of those things too. I mean, just everything that he could possibly use to diminish my credibility, my
Mhm.
character. I mean, the slanderous things that were in there, and the majority of it wasn't even true.
Yeah,
How do
no,
you defend yourself? And then you have
terrible.
judges just signing off on motions.
Wow, this is terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible. I almost got lost for words for a second.
No, no,
Yeah,
that's why I'm
it's
saying
yeah,
this is such an interesting story, because it takes a really strong woman to be able to manage all of this emotional abuse, and then not only that, be without her children.
yeah,
I mean,
yes,
that it's incredible. It's crazy. And so that's why I'm like, you know what? If I, obviously God has protected me through this process, but it's up to me to share my story to help other people. Not only that, educate people on all the booby traps that you can use in the court systems in general to avoid so they don't get hurt emotionally, so their children don't get hurt emotionally. I built an app around divorce. I said, you know what? These processes need to be removed from the legal system. Remove them.
yes,
Removed. People don't have the capacity to understand the psychology. These judges don't have the background and understanding. And I'm not saying all of them. You get good Republican conservative judges. They're going to make decisions based on the kids, right? You get a good family law court system that has good psychologists, things like that. That's great. Everything else is junk. It's disjointed. None of it makes any sense at all,
right,
right?
right. No, I agree with you.
Like,
I agree
like, like I
100%.
said, I could have spent $1 million on my kids and their education, right?
Right.
Those would be some pretty nice colleges that they
But
could go to.
oh yeah, and it baffles me that this person would do something like that, and whether it be him or another one, your main thing should be your children.
He
So
that's
they
that's
don't
the other
realize
thing.
what he's so this person to me, when they get like this, they're not good people by any means, and they're the ones that should probably be removed from their children, whether that's
Well,
harsh or not, because they're the ones that are toxic, that are poisoning their children by these negative. No matter what in a marriage, no matter what divorce, no matter what you go through, never talk negative about the other parent.
can,
Never,
can
never.
you imagine though, when the other parent is trying to brainwash and say, "Oh, your mother has issues,"
I went through
to
that though. I did. Yeah.
to create fear around the safety, their safety
Yes.
and well-being. Or how about, like, they get so anxious because, the reason why why he was trying to bring me back to court and he revoked my parenting weekend illegally is because I missed a breathalyzer. Now, mind you, I have not had alcohol in years, Ellie,
Right. Yeah. No, I
right? So these are forms of abuse too. This is control. This is abuse. This is manipulation.
he
This is
needs help. This
all of it.
person, you don't, yeah, obviously, we're not talking about names, so we don't have any names here, but
No,
this
we don't.
particular person seems like they need evaluation.
So
Because
so
he's
that
poisoning these children's
that's the other
minds.
thing.
So this
Yeah.
isn't fair that this man is toxic and he's poisoning these children's minds by doing
Well,
what
and
he did to you. And they
that's
were
where
young.
that's where the devil does all of his work, is in our minds in general as human beings. Also,
Right.
it's the self-talk, it's the people, it's environment, it's all of those things. And so that's why I worry the most. The thing about it is my children and myself, we just want to spend time together. That is it.
Yeah.
That is all that
And
is all I've ever wanted. And guess what? Guess what else? I financially pay for my children.
so yeah, so you're
Guess
paying.
what else? I had to give him a very large settlement. So that's the other thing. What else? What else? I mean, it's getting to the point now, Ellie,
Well,
where I'm gonna have
oh
to
my
get my
goodness.
weekends reestablished, and then I'm gonna have to move out of state in order for him to leave me alone. This is domestic violence.
Yes. Yes, you are a victim. Just from what you've
Well,
told me, and like I said, I've done a little homework on the situation as well, and it just seems so bluntly out there. Like, how could they get away with this? And I mean, you're fighting. I know you're fighting. You're a fighter.
I am, and let me tell you how I'm fighting back too. So they illegally, they arrested me, right? So he tried to have me upcharged and things like that, and that was a couple years ago. So he had me arrested, and I was arrested, released from the county jail, And then they rearrested me 4 days later and violated my civil rights by doing that. Cause he wanted an ankle monitor on me or whatever their protocol is, right?
Mhm.
Whatever their charging protocol is. So at any rate, civil rights violations are huge, right?
Y-
Now,
Yes.
so what we're going to do is federally, we are going to sue the police department for my civil rights violation, but we're going to bring he and the judges and all of the friends in on conspiracy charges because nobody did anything to protect my kids and myself. They
No.
allowed him to
No, it didn't sound
continue
like
to
it.
abuse us. And they continue it. That's the other thing. And so what is going to stop him? What is going to stop him? I mean, he recently, a couple weeks ago, submitted an order of protection. He wanted an order of protection against me to have the kids under there again. So now we're going back through this. This is what he did in the beginning. This is a booby trap, right? Because I am violent.
Well, under those circumstances, people can become violent. Because I deal with a lot of people going through divorces. I think I do
I'm
divorce
sure
coaching.
they go
The
crazy.
nicest person, it's like you're cornering them. You're putting them up against the wall and they lash out. But what you've been going through, it's not just the divorce or losing a spouse, right? Like, okay, get divorced. You get a lot of people that don't want to lose their spouse because they want their spouse, so they get jealous because they're cheating, whatever. You're fighting for your children. You're not even fighting for
Yeah.
him.
Yeah,
And
no,
that's what's mind-boggling to me,
this
that they
has
were,
nothing to do with him. This
and
has
there's
everything to do
people,
with my children.
what about women that are in prison that get visitation with their kids that come visit them in
I know.
prison?
I know. I know.
And they're
It's,
in prison.
I
It's
know.
so, I mean, I'm just looking at, just what I'm just, again, my perception, what I'm seeing. It's like,
Sure.
it
Sure.
makes absolutely no sense. So do you think, moving forward, so we just kind of scanned over this story. Do you think, say, moving forward, that you should take it out of that state? Are you allowed to take it out of the state?
Well, so from we have to keep it has jurisdiction wise, we have to stay in the state of Montana. I mean, I don't think that there's anything that I mean,
Or
we're going to take it a step up from the federal standpoint in the
that's what I,
civil
yeah,
lawsuit. So
that's what I
that,
should,
that's the feds obviously, versus just, the municipal courts. And so I would like to move the parenting to the community where the kids currently reside outside of this corrupted
right.
community. But
That's kind of what I was,
these, there's a lot of regulations around how you do that. And so it's like being trapped in hell.
yeah, sounds
Ellie,
like it.
I'm in legal hell and I just want to see my kids. That's I just
So,
want to make sure that I just want to smell them and kiss them and love them.
yeah,
So,
this is, oh my gosh, girl, yeah.
yeah. Yep.
So where does it stand now? What do you, I mean, you don't have your kids, you can't see your kids, correct? Now that you're alienated again?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we're supposed to have a hearing, which was just brought up that they were trying to move it. See, this is the other thing that they do. So we asked for a supervised visit this weekend and they said, well, it's not your weekend. Well, who knows what my weekend is? I haven't been parenting since February, so nobody really knows, but apparently it's not my weekend. So the consistent approach that they're using is continue to delay and alienate. That's what they do. So I am just at the mercy of the current, the court system here that, like I said, it's highly dysfunctional. There's a lot of them out there. It's not just this court system, but this one is corrupt. And I am going to bring light to it because other people suffer through these processes.
Yeah, and you know what's strange too is that they didn't look to, I mean, if you're that bad, why wouldn't they look to have, I don't know, quote, why
Yeah.
wouldn't they look to have like a say mediator or somebody in the room with you when your kids are there?
Oh,
Just to get the
absolutely.
visit.
We've
I
done,
mean, it sounds
we've
like
done,
you could, I mean, it sounds like you could afford
we,
it. You're paying
yeah.
for him. No, so I mean,
We've done reunification therapy. So he withheld the kids for me, and then I had to do reunification therapy with the kids. The kids just want to spend time with me. They don't do the reunification therapist doesn't even
yeah.
have the ability because they're social workers too. So they don't have the understanding, training, expertise, and knowledge in child psychology. They're
No, that's
just
what I'm saying. There should be somebody that's got a
they're
little,
well,
it could be any, it
we've
could
already
be, Could be
We've already
anybody.
played all the court games, and the funny part about it too is I actually ended up, I went to a mental health facility right after he revoked my my parenting in February, because I needed to go get some emotional support, because I knew I was going to continue to battle all of these things. The psychologists there, they can't even give me a diagnosis, Ellie, because I have so much self-awareness. They're like, yeah, you have a little PTSD related to this court process, Sheena. And who
Mhm.
doesn't? We all go through
Oh,
struggles and
yeah.
issues.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
absolutely.
not like we're none of us are perfect. I mean, we all struggle, but yeah, this has been an incredibly painful experience. And like I said, if I can be an advocate for people, for children, for parents that suffer and struggle through these processes, it's nonsensical that courts allow these types of practices. That's all I have to say.
And as we know, and it's naturally, it's, strength, it's stronger in numbers, right? You get
Yeah,
more people, because I talk to people a lot too, and they go
yeah,
through the same thing.
yeah.
And I was just telling you, well, just before we recorded, that there's a woman I was talking to by me in Florida that's, funny that she said she's married to an attorney. I got scared. No, yeah,
Uh,
that she's going through
yeah.
some
Well,
stuff that she didn't
she should
start
be
yet.
scared. She
She didn't
should be
even
scared.
start yet. She's afraid to
Yeah.
even start filing.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
But
Because you know what?
it's
The
gonna
other
be,
thing, I was kind of listening. I was talking to somebody the other day. I'm like, yeah, I must be really drunk and mental. I have over 100 employees, and I have two very successful healthcare organizations with Medicare licensures. And it would be really tough to run those agencies if I didn't have
yes,
capacity, right?
yes.
So if I can do that, then why am I not able to parent? And not only that, we have parents that are being actively discharged from hospitals with their babies that test positive for meth. Why do I not have my children?
Well, that's what I'm saying, because I mean, I've seen in local, prisons, facilities, what do you want to call them? There's women in there, and they have their kids coming to
Yeah,
visit them. I mean,
exactly.
what is that?
Yeah.
Well, that's because they don't have a husband fighting them and trying to discredit them. Has to be.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's what it's all about. And the only thing I can
Yeah.
say is this: I will never stop fighting for my children. My children are the most important souls on earth to me. I love them. I have the emotional endurance to get through this, because I believe that I'm going to have to be the spokesperson for people in divorce, and I will stand up. And I have the intelligence and understanding of how do we dismantle these systems that are so dangerous for people.
So, it's like you're battling more than just trying to get your children. Because you're thinking to help everybody, and I agree with that. I agree with that. But meanwhile, it's not even like you're not even out of the woods yet.
No,
You're
I'm not.
still
I'm not out of
you're
the woods.
still
I
there
can't. It's hard to
fighting.
move. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's hard to move forward. It's really
So
hard to move forward.
how do
And
we do this? How do we what's your I mean, what are they saying for you to get I mean, you need your children. I look
well,
at it like
absolutely.
that. You need
The thing about it is I need them as much as they need me,
of course, it's your mom, you're
right?
the mom. It's so weird that they
Exactly.
could
And
do
then,
that.
and like I said, this happens to a lot of people. And I was just talking to one of our attorneys that works in Las Vegas, and she was like, Sheena, I had a dad that had to completely relinquish his parental rights because he can't handle the emotional abuse so it's men and women on both sides,
Yeah,
right?
I know a gentleman who did the same thing, local here in Florida. And
Yeah.
I heard that a few weeks ago when he told me we started doing something with the child. And when I said to him, I says, well, don't you have your kid? You get your kid? He goes, no, I said, because my ex-wife, I gave him up. I gave up my custody to her. And I'm like, I almost said his name. And I'm like, how can you do that? He says, you don't understand the emotional, mental with this woman. And I'm like, oh my God. So this is something, we're talking, but it's a hidden disease that you don't
Oh,
hear about that often.
well, do you want me to tell you what it is? Because straight away I knew it. Narcissist versus empath. That's why I'm like, oh, I know how to
Okay.
crack the code on this. So we have more of an empathic individual. Usually that's how you get dysfunctional relationships. We have wounded children on both sides in adult bodies, right? And
Right.
so then
Yes.
those wounded
Good
children
idea.
are attracted to each other because they're trying to fill some type of unhealthy, unhealed need
Mm.
inside. I mean, I look at myself now, the benefit and the beauty of this process is I've done a lot of work on myself internally, emotionally, spiritually. I've spent a lot of time by myself, right?
Yes.
And not that I wanted to do that, but I took advantage of it to take care of me and myself too,
Mhm.
right? So when you finally figure out what the two personality, disorders, are they personality disorders? I don't know. One spirit versus demon. That's what we'll call it, right?
Yes, yes.
Spirit versus demon. And so the demon tries to drive the spirit crazy, right?
I was thinking of the devil and the angel. Remember the shoulders that made these people?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Basically what, he wanted to happen is he wanted me to drink myself to death because he wanted to drive me crazy in the court system, right?
And the bottom
So,
line is he probably just loved you so much he didn't want you to live.
well, he's
I'm
already
laughing
moved
about
on.
it because
That's the other thing.
yeah.
The other thing is he's moved on. He's actually expecting another child. And I'm thinking to
Oh
myself,
my God.
like, wouldn't you just want to be able to move forward in a productive way so your children have a healthy life? It was so funny. So he doesn't allow my family to have any contact with the kids either. Cause so I put my family, like my mom and sisters and brothers, like, hey, he revoked my parenting again. You guys need to go and make sure and stay in touch with my babies because they need to know they can't lose touch with their mom. And so he won't let, and he hovers over them like I'm gonna steal them. It's the weirdest,
Oh,
craziest,
well, I'm worried about the kids and
strangest.
what happened, what's going on with them?
Well, and the hard part too is that he has them brainwashed too. 8 and 10, you start thinking
Oh,
about my little girl is 8, Willa,
oh,
or excuse me, she's 10. Sorry, Harry's 8. See, I'm mixing up their ages now. So I mean, think about what she feels and she's kind of starting into that adolescent age too, where she needs her mom. You
yes.
know, and of course, Harry's the baby. He needs his mom. He and I are so close. That's the other thing is I'm so close with my children. They slept in bed with me every single night until he removed me from the home that I bought.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
So just to have, that's a shock to anybody's system than to have to endure all of this. And then have hearing that your mommy is not safe and you have to have, visitation with her and you have to have a social worker. It's funny, the social worker made the report and she goes, Sheena's a great parent, sober, blah, 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 blah. She's just intimidating. I'm like, well, I am a
Wow.
boss. So if
Yeah.
that, so
Yeah.
if
Well,
that,
that's what
if
happens.
that's
Yeah.
these things have nothing to do with my parenting abilities or who I am. It's so funny. Not only that, so when they revoked my parenting, so I've had a lot of exposure to a lot of Hollywood, and they're going to produce a movie. And I was in Nashville recording a song that my little girl wrote, and a few things are changing. So in the document to revoke my parenting, it said that I was lying to the kids about what I was doing, right? Which, even if I was and I wasn't, how does that have anything to do with the safety of the kids?
No, well, that's why, I'm listening to you talk and again, I know a little bit about your case and
Yeah.
again, I'm non-biased. I'm just listening to the
No,
story
it's okay, Ellie. Yeah.
and it's like, it's just amazing to me that he can get away with this. And then
Yeah.
I say, hey, I'm not saying, oh, your ex, any man, your story, forget the face, forget the name, you take your story and you put it on anybody. It doesn't add up. It
No, that's
does
what I'm
not
saying.
add up.
That's why
It doesn't add up.
it's conspiracy, right?
Yeah.
So the majority of everything was fabricated. I told you, I can take full responsibility for some of my behaviors in the beginning. I get it. I was self-medicating with alcohol. He was trying to drive me crazy. And you know
But
what else? I had such a serious trauma bond with that guy, and I have no idea why. I'm like, he's not even my type. What is wrong? Like, what, you know what it was? I knew that he would use my kids. I knew that he would use my kids
yes.
emotionally to hold them. You want me to tell you a funny story? I sent him a text message and I said, I'll die without my kids. And this was in the beginning. He sent the police over to do a welfare check because he told them I was suicidal. This is how he started.
So meanwhile, this mental person, again, I'm not saying because it's your husband, or I'm just taking the
We're just
story.
saying I'm some mental person.
Yes,
Yes.
the story.
Yeah. Yeah.
How does somebody get away with what he's doing? How? He's obviously a mental man. He's got children,
Well,
and they're allowing it. that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. Somebody actually confronted him a couple of days ago because everybody's on to him now too, and what he's doing with the kids and stuff like that. And they said, when are you going to let the kids see their mom? And he goes, when she shapes up.
Well, there he goes again. He's not going to, I don't think he's going to.
What do so here's the other thing. So he wants control and he wants to abuse and manipulate me forever.
But didn't you say you're paying him?
Yeah.
And you're paying for child support.
Yeah. And I paid him
Don't they realize that that's what he wants? It's not the fact he's trying to keep you here. I'm being the judge and jury. I mean, I'm looking at it like he's trying to keep the kids and for the money. I just made my own story.
You know, Ellie, man's love of money is the root of all evil. And I do believe that there's definitely some of that happening. And I look at it and I think to myself, yeah, I'm a boss and I built these companies and now you're trying to take everything from me. He wants to destroy me completely. So I don't have any relationship with my kids, but guess what? I'm not going to stop fighting for my children and everybody else's that have to go through this, because those little precious babies are the ones that I care mostly about. Yes. I gave everything to him. I gave him everything. He's put him to school. Yeah. It's terrible. The funny part about it is let me tell you something. If I had nothing in this court system, and I'm not trying to, if I had no property, no companies, no, nothing, I wouldn't be going through this. You know that. I'd have full custody. And not only that, would I have full custody, I'd be getting paid child support every month.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I was trying to say before about the story, right? You take your story, no face, no nothing, and just put it out there. And like I said, I'm the outsider. It don't add up. How does a mom lose custody, get treated the way you got treated?
Yeah.
That doesn't happen to drug addicts that are literally in prison.
No, that's what I'm saying.
The kids go visit them in prison.
I know. No, he worked the system around me. Like I said, it's conspiracy and it's everything he did.
So how are we going to go forward with this? Can you tell me the plan that we're going to do move forward?
Yeah, I do. So obviously
as women, just because
So I practice a lot of self-care. I got to be honest, Ellie. Like I do a lot of spirituality. I do prayer. I take care of myself physically. Okay. I've been eating well. I have in the past smoked some cigarettes, which I quit doing that. I'm like, I have to stop doing this. Yeah. Like I am just trying to clean. I'm trying to clean up my life completely, but I'm very transparent and open about it because life is a journey. And I think some of my struggles can help other people too. I don't know.
Yes.
That's how it is. So moving forward, continue to, I did end up, I had to get out of the hospice business in order to, finalize our divorce decree and pay my ex-husband off. And so I now have a sports marketing company. I'm getting involved in, NFL tailgating parties, things like that. So that's a good distraction too. From the kids' perspective, we have a hearing on Wednesday to have the discussion around why can't I see my children?
Right.
And so hopefully, hopefully that will be productive, and hopefully we have a new judge on the case. The other one withdrew because she was doing a terrible job, and she knows now what has been going on. Because now we've made some of these things public too. We threw a big party here in Missoula, and we brought in some NFL Super Bowl champs, and we've done some people know who I am. I had no identity, right?
Yeah, I got you.
But I've been a provider to the community of hospice services and home health and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, that's what I want to. That's perfect.
Yeah. So so we're just going to keep our fingers crossed. I just, like I said, everybody has been praying for us and praying for the kids, and
I'm babies back. Yeah.
Oh man, boy, I'll tell you what. I miss them like crazy.
And I admire your enthusiasm to go further with this. I mean, I know you're fighting your battle, and I'm really hoping that you do clear the way for and help other women that are going through this, because there's a lot. Like I was saying, I just met recently, that woman didn't even start her journey yet, but afraid because of her husband being an attorney.
Well, and it's not even the how-to, it's the how to manage the emotional abuse, know the signs and symptoms. It's like how to get yourself healthy, how to make sure you're staying connected, mind, body, and soul, how you're not abusing yourself with alcohol. It doesn't
Yeah, but a
work.
lot
You
of
know what I
people
mean?
do. They turn to do something like that,
Well,
whether it be
you know what? How do you not when you're having such serious emotional abuse? Because it's like you want to self-soothe somehow. You want to take your central nervous system back down to normal so you can feel like a human being. They
mm,
try to take your soul, Ellie. That's the
yeah.
thing. They try to compromise everything in your mind around who you are, diminish your credibility, take your confidence, do all the things. He took somebody who was, like I said, a boss, a creator, an entrepreneur,
Yes.
a visionary, somebody who makes a difference in people's lives, somebody who has helped many, many patients bedside and families, helped souls to heaven. That's what I did. And I'm talking in the thousands. That's a work that I did. It
Wow.
wasn't just
Amazing.
as the owner and operator. It was bedside doing God's work. Somebody like that. And I was a mess, Ellie. I'm
Well,
talking.
it does go back to that angel and devil.
Yeah,
He was taking your
it is.
credibility. Yeah.
It,
Yeah.
it, it is. And that's exactly true. And sometimes the devil fights us the hardest and tries to wear us out. And I'm like, no, I'm not laying down. I will
No,
continue
I love it.
fighting.
I love your
And
power and your
I'm
strength.
not
Yeah.
afraid to be the voice and the mouthpiece and all these things. And like I said, I'm a Republican, business owner, and that's who I am. And these types of practices are illegal.
Mhm.
That's the other thing. So
Yes.
we have these corrupted systems where the rules only apply to the other people, not to them.
Hmm.
That's a
Yeah.
strange perspective.
Yes.
So he's an attorney, so he doesn't follow the same rules. Guess what? I have a video of him drinking and driving with my children. Can you imagine
All right.
drinking
That's
and
yeah.
driving?
No, yeah, I heard. Yes, I heard that.
Guess
That's why
what?
I'm talking like excitable because I'm like,
You know
it's
what? Guess what?
amazing that they can get away
Guess
with
what?
this.
That video got my felony charges reduced to misdemeanors because he perjured himself in his deposition, his family law deposition. All
Right,
he did was lie all over that document. That's
right, but why
I
weren't
got
those kids
myself out of
removed from him then?
huh?
Why weren't the kids removed from him at that point?
Because he
Right.
only had a white claw in his hand behind the wheel with the kids.
It doesn't matter. That's alcohol.
I know, but it doesn't like I
And
mean
how many did he
obviously
have before he got in the car? Now I'm going to be the judge and jury. I mean,
Ellie, yeah,
it's
seriously,
crazy.
I gotta be honest with you too. He filed an emergency parenting plan when I was in rehab.
No,
I
why?
was I wasn't even, I wasn't even here to defend myself. Like I'm like you can't. He does all this underhanded bull crap. Bull crap. Sorry, I almost said the sh word. I will not speak that
Yeah.
way. But I mean that's why I'm saying how many other people are suffering. Most people, thank God, I have the financial ability to defend my children and myself and my integrity and who I am and what I represent.
Absolutely. Wow.
I'm an American mother. Oh my
Yes, you
God.
are.
Now we're taking away my constitutional right to parent because some
Yeah.
stupid
Or
attorney,
maybe that's what it
stupid
was. Maybe they don't
attorney,
like that the fact. I don't want to say it like that.
you
Maybe
know what it is. I just think it's all jealousy too. It's just like, yeah, I didn't have to go to college. And not that I'm not trying to say anything badly about people that have education,
no,
but
I get it what you're saying. I know, I get it.
I'm an alchemist. I just create. I'm a creator. That's the other thing is God has had me isolated to work on me to get me better so I can create more and to
Yes, and
help more
that's when you do
people.
create is when you're isolated. And
Exactly. That's why I'm like,
that's what I tell people.
the sky's the limit. I just want my
Yeah,
babies back. I don't want to
yeah.
deal with his.
But
I
you're
don't
gonna
want to deal with his
surface.
stuff.
You're gonna surface from this stronger than even than what you are.
Oh yeah,
I know
I'm
you're gonna
not
be
a.
like, how can that be? How can I be stronger than what I was? You'll see.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I feel better than
Yeah.
ever too. That's the other thing too. It's all about self-care and making sure that you're good with yourself, and then I just have to bear some of the emotional distress. That's what I have to do. I
So
made a commitment to my children.
do you see? I know I keep kind of circling back around to it, but do you see possibly a silver lining with this? Do you see it ending?
There's going to be so many great things that come out of this too. We're going to save a lot of people and lives, and we're going to save a lot of kids, and we're going to bring awareness to all
Yes,
sorts of things.
that's
And
what's going
so
to happen. But I met with
it
you.
really is. I'm going to be an advocate for all these little babies out there that get stuck in the middle of these terrible high conflict divorces where we're dealing with the demons and the spirits, and it's a terrible thing. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give everybody all the education, the tools, and the information to work through
Yeah.
these processes because I know them now like the back of my hand. I'm like, I could practice law. I know I could be a family law attorney. I'll have to go to school, but I
Yeah,
can do
you're
it.
funny. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now it's
Yes, I
like,
totally get it.
it's like, thank you for the education in the legal system. Now, I didn't really want to go, and this is a very broken system, but it's all about the processes and these words. That's the other thing. His words hold a lot of teeth, which none of it's true. So then the concept in the system is guilty until proven innocent. So just because he writes it down, when he filed
Yeah,
the order of protection against me, he sent it from his email to mine and said, "Dear Sheena, you're a crazy alcoholic that drinks on your antidepressants and you tried to run me over," which I never did that. And so I text him, "Listen here, buddy." Oh yeah. He called the cops and said she violated the order of protection. This is what he's been doing all along.
yeah.
Crazy,
I
Ellie.
can't believe it.
Crazy.
This is the man that's with your children.
I know. Well, we just talk about all these personality disorders. He tried to convince the court. Well, she's a narcissist. Oh, okay.
This has been,
The thing about it is I know a lot about psychology because human psychology and dealing with hospice.
it's
death, and
funny.
dying.
I think I always say, we school of hard knocks, and we got our knowledge not from college.
Yeah.
And it's funny, but if we had to have a degree of sort, it would be beyond a doctrine or a master's or whatever we're gonna go up. It's like you can't get what we know in college. The life
Well,
experiences and what you've gone through
yeah.
just
And
doesn't happen.
no, and I used
And
to
you don't want to. I mean, it's horrible.
I used to interview for a lot of positions in my life when I was, younger, which I'm young still, but in my, early 20s. And I had the experience. So I'd always outdo the people that came on board with 4-year educations. And like I said, I think education is wonderful for some people, but the other thing too is I didn't have a problem out earning all the physicians. I've employed doctors and nurse practitioners and all sorts of people, and they've given me tons of respect, for my ability to lead and direct
Right.
these industries. So yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Do you want to let's see how much time we have here? Did you want to circle around a little bit on yourself, on what you kind of did already, but
Yeah.
anything else you want to talk about before we
Ellie, what I want to do too,
I
I
want
just
to
want
make
to
sure we
talk
cover.
about, I just want to make sure people feel encouraged when they're going through these processes, because I just remember feeling so alone and isolated. And that's why I started developing more of a technical app for people that had a little bit of spiritual and psychology in it, because I wanted to make sure that they had the guidance and understanding of the actual system in the court process, right?
Okay,
Because
so
like I said, it's only a system. That's the other thing. So it's like, if we take the emotions out of the system, then you just understand that you have to walk through these processes, right? So it's all about education and understanding. And then, like I said, when we can give people the tools and understanding, then they can get through these harder times. And then they already know, oh, Sheena said that this was her experience and this is what was said, or we read
so-
Sheena's divorce.
Okay, I think this is what I was trying to get at.
Oh.
Is what you're saying. It's so you're developing an app, right? So this is something that you are doing. You're developing an app so that
It's artificial intelligence. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All right.
Yeah.
So they could, if they're going to be going through something like this, they could get on there and Google your name, and there'll be this app that you'll be able to they can help themselves, educate themselves a little bit more, right?
Well, yeah, and it is. Life is all about education, because you take other people's personal experiences and then you apply that experience to help others, and that is the goal. That's what God wants us. We're all walking each other home here on earth, right?
Yes.
And so that's the overall concept and goal, but there's so many tricks in the system that I unraveled when I figured it was it's a game. It's a
Right.
narcissistic game. That's the other thing. So learning how to disarm the narcissist is something that is vital anytime you're getting a divorce. Because
Exactly.
like I said,
yes.
that is the concept. And if I would have known that prior, I wouldn't be in this situation, because I would say, okay, narcissist, I know exactly what you're going to do. But he totally, I've been in a web of legal systems. And so I had to work my way through it. I mean, I even had a probation officer. I had to go give random UAs. I mean, I had all of it. I've been through it all. Hmm.
Wow. Amazing, there, girl.
Yeah. I know, isn't it fun? It's been honestly,
Yeah.
it's been a ride and a rodeo, but I actually am feeling really grateful because I have so many wonderful people all over the country, Ellie, including
Yes.
you. Like people are
Yeah. I
coming out of
mean,
the woodworks.
thanks.
They're like,
Yeah.
who is this girl from Montana? Who is
Yeah.
this Republican girl? I'm like, I am Sheena and I am a fighter. And I
Yes.
will fight for what is right. And I will fight for everybody in our country because this is abusive. This is
Yes.
uncalled for. So
Wow.
yeah,
Yes. A lot said there.
there
A
you
lot
go.
said. Yeah.
Let's-
Wow.
Yeah,
So you have,
I get to sing the national anthem for the Trump rally in New Orleans. I'm pretty excited. So they're building this big entertainment. A bunch of people got together. We bought Six Flags in New Orleans, and they're naming it Sheena's Entertainment. And I'm so
oh,
excited. They're like putting me up on a pedestal. They're like, we have to show you off, Sheena. You're a strong lady. I'm like, okay,
all right.
show
Well,
me.
there you go. There you go.
Yeah,
Yay.
yeah, I know it's opening some really fun doors. That's why I'm like, I need to get to a place in my life
And
where I'm having fun and
what,
enjoying life.
so then what you're gonna, it'll wrap around to, I hate to say it because it's at the expense of your children, but it's gonna wrap around to, this is why it happened, right?
Well,
This
you know
is
what?
why.
God wants me to be seen,
Yes.
Ellie, because
Yeah.
you want to know why? Because
I,
I have such fantastic insight and I feel like I've been through it all
yes.
like you. And
Yeah.
so then, and I do believe I'm likable. There's only one person that doesn't like me in this world, and I think it's that guy, right? That guy in the court system. But no,
Yeah. But we're gonna stomp that out too. We're gonna get rid of, oh, we get rid of that. We'll get
no,
rid
you
of that.
can't. Yeah, no, that's all right. You can take it. You can take out whatever you want. But at any rate,
No, I mean, get rid of the situation, not, get rid of him.
Oh
Like, get
yeah,
rid of
no.
that. Meaning the
Oh yeah.
situation has got to be
The
cleared. Yeah,
funny part about it is
that's funny.
too, like
Wow.
so, and this is one quick funny thing too, because they use these positions within the court system for custody. They call them guardian ad litems. And these guardian ad litems are wasted positions and they're additional layer of confusion within an actual dissolution too. It's a terrible concept. That's why I was like, oh, so I hired this guardian ad litem to represent my children in the case. She was $5,000. Well, he got to her first. So then when she met me, my psychologist called me and goes, Sheena, she's already on his side. She's like, you're screwed.
Oh,
I'm like, oh, great. So she thinks that she goes, why haven't you exercised your parenting in 9 months? I said, he had he had felony charges on me. And if I would have got charged with a felony, I would have lost my Medicare licenses. So how do I pay the bills for the legal services?
right, right.
So he's creating all of this traction in her mind about how unstable or unreliable or whatever the case is. And like I said, this movie is going to be incredibly powerful for people because it will give them all the tools. They'll say, Sheena navigated that. My last attorney, who is my attorney now, he goes, Sheena, if you didn't have the intelligence to understand this, you would have been in trouble.
Oh yeah, totally, absolutely, yeah.
You would have been he's like, you would have emotionally, you would have been just because I just kind of got to the point where I just giggle. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
yeah,
oh,
because
there's another cop at my door. He's trying to serve me with an order of protection. I haven't talked to this guy in 3 years. Oh my God.
but the worst
Oh
is
my
probably he's spending your money on this.
Not only that, like
Yeah.
how obsessed is he that he can't control me? See,
Yeah.
the fun part about it too, I have a power of attorney that's been helping protect me also because they're trying to make sure that to keep him off of me so I can heal and move forward.
Well, this is just an amazing story, and
Thanks, Ellie.
but you know what it is? You're welcome. No, it's not. It's not over. I can't. A lot of times you could circle around something and say, so this, it's not over yet. So we're going to have to do another part.
we have to do an episode number 2, and not only that, maybe I'll have more insight and more information and all the things.
Yeah.
And I do believe there's going to be some national coverage on the civil rights violation.
Yes. So what we're going to have to do is, and again, this is just like the pilot, and what we're going to pilot series. No, we're going to need to.
Ellie, isn't it interesting though?
Yeah. Because now we're all like waiting to say, I'm saying we're all like, it will be when people hear it, right? It's going to be like, okay, I'd like to have conclusion. I like to have a closure. We can't
Yeah.
on this because it's not over. It's still
I know.
in process.
I know.
So we are going to have to say goodbye, but we're going to follow up with you. And I
Ellie.
want to, maybe in 2 weeks, let's do a follow up on how you made out in
Yes.
court.
I would
And
love to.
yeah, and how, what's going on with the kids, and
Sure.
let's do this follow up with you because
Absolutely.
it's just amazing. Yeah.
You know, and it's so funny too, because
Yeah.
my little girl who's 10, we talk about Willa, she's a helper too. And I was like, Willa, we need to start these companies and help. She goes, Mom, I could do the kids corner. You know what I mean? It's like, how do
I
we
love
turn
it. I
these-
love all this. Yeah.
how do we turn some of these, you know, and this has been a hard road. Everybody goes, how are you managing this? I'm like, you know, like I said, God gives me the strength.
God
and
gives
I have
you
a
the
lot
strength.
of emotional strength.
Yeah.
Anyways, but you know, like, how can we make this better for humans, as you know, the totality of everybody that has to go through this? So
well, we have some work to do. We do have some work to do, and we'll get through it. And we're here. I know you got Bert. Bert, is Bert there?
I don't know where he is. He's probably he's so Bert is always doing deals. So you know, our business name is Souls and Deals. So I'm the soul and he does the deals. And he's a wild man. And he's on the phone with everybody. He's like, Sheena, you want to talk to so and so? They did this song in 1980. You know that, like, he knows everybody in the entertainment industry. And I'm
He's
just
a great
like,
guy,
how
though.
fun.
Yeah. He's funny.
Fantastic. I love him. He is the best. So.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
He is great.
That's another podcast. But anyway, let's just we're gonna come back again. Let's give it a couple weeks. You'll let me know when you know, we want to hear about the trial on Wednesday. We want to see, I want you hopefully get the kids back, and
I just want my weekends back. That's all I'm looking for.
Your weekends back, your kids back.
I'll do the breathalyzers. I mean, I just want my babies.
And enough of the bullshit. Enough with this. Leave you alone.
Thank you.
Basically,
he won't leave me alone. I'm like, leave me alone. That's why they need me. They're like, Sheena, you need to move out of the state and then fly in every weekend that you have the kids, because he'll never, he won't leave me alone.
Yeah, it's crazy. He's probably just upset that he lost you.
You think?
What makes people think? I don't know. A lot of times, because it's just my.
He's just trying to destroy me because he's jealous.
Oh, that too. Oh yeah, I believe that. I believe.
You know.
Yeah. I believe it.
He doesn't want me to grow as a human.
But you can't hold it down. You're not going to be held down. It's not.
No,
we can't.
I need to fly. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, that's who we are. But we're going to say goodbye for now, and hopefully. I love you, but I don't want you leaving yet. I'm just going to stop the podcast recording, and then we'll resume. But thank you, Sheena, for coming on the Storytime with Ellie podcast, and we are looking forward to talking to you again.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Bye.
This is how legends are made.